Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Juniper Vale. Today, I would like to do a reading on the Brooke Hanlon case. If you do not know of this case, which you may not because there's oddly not a lot of information about it. In the beginning of June of this year, in Chester, New Jersey, there was a woman. She's a wife, a mother. Her child, I believe, her daughter turns 1. I believe it's this month or next month. Or no, I think it's this month. And she was found deceased by the M word. She was stabbed quite a few times. Unfortunately, her husband came home to find her like that. He called 911. The 911 call has been released. I believe it took a month to release the 911 call. Her husband has now gotten a lawyer. He's originally, I believe, from Massachusetts. So he's gone back up to the Boston area. That's where he is now. Their daughter may actually be with Brooke's family still in maybe New Jersey. I'm not sure if her family's in New Jersey, but she's originally from New Jersey. So most likely. So there's some interesting things going on here. Her husband's name, I believe, is Colin, but his first name is actually James, but he goes by middle name. Let me make sure it's Colin or Connor. Nope, Connor. Okay. So Connor Hanlon. So what makes this case a little odd is that when the news was first released, they didn't release her name. And that was kind of odd. Usually, you have a victim. Most times the name is released pretty closely. There is very few information released. So this, of course, could be by design by the prosecutor's office for the county and by the police department. If there's an investigation going on, right, they need to be very careful about the information they release. And then the 911 call wasn't released until about a month later. So now it's been 2 months and there's still no news. No one has been charged. The people who live in Chester, the neighborhood, it's very nerve-wracking for them because it's like there's no real idea of, well, so what went on? What happened? Are we supposed to be fearing our safety? Are we not supposed to be fearing our safety? It's very hush-hush. The wife was a psychotherapist, very good at what she did, I've read. So people have their ideas, right, of what could have happened. Some people say, well, the husband lawyered up quickly and now he's not even in the state with his daughter. So that's suspicious. Other people say that she possibly could have had a client that had something against her. Right now, everything is just rumors. There's really like no idea of what's happening. And I think the main thing though is just like, for example, if I lived in that neighborhood and I was just in that town this past weekend, to not really have any idea of whether you feel safe in the neighborhood. Is there any actual danger to anyone living there? Nobody knows. What was also very odd about the news coming out about it, nobody mentioned, like, is the daughter okay? And apparently she is, but even there was no mention of the baby. The 911 call you can listen to now, their husband, that's released. So you could look that up. And he doesn't even mention the baby. He also says my wife has a laceration, which I thought was a weird way to say. I don't feel like most people would say that. So I tried to figure out where he works. Is he a doctor? I could see a doctor saying that, but no, apparently I don't know exactly what he did, but he used to work for a construction company at the time of the murder. He's no longer working there. So there's a lot of empty space around this information. So I'm very curious to see, like, are we going to get anything? Is there any news coming? Yeah. In general, it's just very odd. When we were in Chester this past weekend, my husband brought up the case and he asked me if I could do some cards on it just to see. So that's what I'm going to do. Um, So I may use all three of these decks. I may use one. I may use two. I don't know yet. I got to see how it goes. I think the first thing I'm going to do is a very simple spread, 6 cards. It gives me a who is involved, what happened, when did it take place, where, why, and how did it happen. Some of those things we already know the answer to. So I'm like, maybe my cards will help me to understand exactly, that will help me to understand exactly what the cards are saying in this respect. But I think I'm most interested in trying to figure out what's going to happen within the next month. Are we going to get news? Are the people in Chester safe? Like it's just a very open-ended kind of like, okay, usually there's more information provided. And having something like this type of crime happen in Chester, New Jersey is not something that would normally happen, right? They're not, it's a, what they call it, a bedroom community. I've never heard anybody really say that word in New Jersey, a bedroom community of New York City. I only hear that on the news. It's very weird. And another thing about the news is that it seems like Fox News has like the exclusive on everything for this story. And it's hard to find any other news source. It's that I found to be odd, but I feel like that's odd in a completely different way, in the state of our journalism in this country sort of way, not in any other way. All right, so I'm going to do those 6 cards first. I'm doing reversals with this deck as well, so we'll see what happens. So we're looking at this case, this crime perpetrated on Brooke. We're looking at who, what, when, where, why, how. So let's see what we get. So who, justice reversed. What, the 8 of Wands. When, the 4 of Cups. Where, the Empress. Why, the 5 of Swords. How, Temperance. All right. So I think this is I'm not as comfortable reading the cards like this with those exact questions but it will. I'll look at them and I'll see how the story unfolds. So the thing is that we know what happens pretty much. I mean, well, we know the result. The 8 of Wands, that's like a big action, full force. To me, that's saying that this was sudden. She was stabbed multiple times. And that's the first thing I saw when I saw the wands. Like that's I see an attack, right? And I see a one-sided attack. I don't think this is something that she was expecting to happen. The 4 of Cups. So this happened in the beginning of June. Let me just check the date. June 6th. Four of Cups. I mean, the Four of Cups, we are not accepting something that is being handed to us. We're not being aware of something. I don't really know what that has to do with when, right? It's a bit weird. I would say like, the four, you could say it's, the fourth day of the month or something like that. But this is June 6th. It's not the fourth month. It's not the fourth day of the month. So I'm not exactly sure how that fits in. So let's move on and maybe it'll make more sense. The where, I got the Empress. So the Empress is actually makes sense because it happened at home. When I see the Empress, right, I see this mother. And Brooke was a mom. She was at home when this happened. Um, so, your home is where you are nurtured, it's where you take care of your children. So, to me, that makes a lot of sense. Let's see. Why? Why did it happen? The Five of Swords. Why did it happen? And I skipped the who for right now because I wanted to look at these because these kind of things we kind of already almost know for the most part. The Five of Swords for why. So the fives are difficult situations or chaotic situations. Sometimes if they're good, it just could mean like a chaotic energy, like a good energy. With when it comes to swords, I would say that is not right. There is some type of not a battle, right? You see these people in the background. I feel as though they are a little bit in despair. They've lost something. This person is collecting the swords. There's some type of argument for me that happened. This didn't necessarily have to be that specific day. This could have been a previous argument, some type of struggle, some type of not a disagreement. Let me just check the Five of Swords because I want to make sure I'm not missing something. Nah, that's the Wands. Swords. There's an unfair victory is a hollow as a defeat. Failure, demoralization, trickery, manipulation, unfair tactics. So that's interesting. And that's the why. So somebody feels like they were being tricked. So, like I said, it's like a disagreement. It's somebody feels like they were wronged. It's interesting to have the heart on the sword. Could it be somebody that she was close with? That you would say that some like a family, a friend, or is it somebody that, like they said, she could have possibly been taking care of, like taking care of professionally? Temperance is the how. How did it happen? That's a weird kind of question in a way because you look at the what happened and the how. So what and then how do those two fit together? Temperance is giving me the calmness after judgment, correct? I always forget temperance is after before the devil and after death. Moderation, which achieved material and spiritual goals. Now is the time of equilibrium. Diplomacy, skilled negotiation, mutually acceptable compromise. How did it happen? It's almost like there was an agreement between one or two or more people, or this could be whoever committed this action. They felt that this would even things out. It would make things more balanced, probably for themselves. they could not be exactly. I mean, I would think that most people who do this to somebody else, their what's the Lord? Their judgment is in error, right? They're not thinking things through correctly. That doesn't necessarily mean that this was a person who was going through therapy, like one of her clients. It could even be somebody she knows, right? That's not in therapy. Now the who involved is justice reversed. So that's interesting to me. It's injustice, false accusations, and prejudice. So the person that's involved had something out for her, but they were not correct. Or they felt like she wronged them in some way. Yeah. So I feel like the person who did this felt like that Brooke had wronged them in some way. So it was personal. To me, that says that the rest of the neighborhood is safe, um, which is good. It was quick. It was a one-sided quick attack. I don't think she saw it coming. So at the time something was being handed to her, or just not metaphorically, I'm thinking, but something was going on. She wasn't paying much attention. She had other things on her mind, right? So at that time she had other things on her mind. This person kind of snuck up on her. It happened in the home. There's some type of disagreement going back. Doesn't have to be recent. And then the person who did this felt like this was just going to even things out for them. So I'm not going to accuse anybody. You take that for what it is, because I don't think this exactly tells me who it is anyway, other than the fact that this is somebody that knew her. So I'm not in the business of accusing people. I have no desire to do that. My main point is wanting to see if this was something that the public should be concerned about, in the sense that is there a threat to the public? I don't think so. I think this is personal. And I think when they talk about stabbings, right, they also say that's a pretty personal way to attack someone. All right. I think, yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me, I guess. So now I'm going to use my Golden Tarot. And there's probably going to be some bits there in the Golden Tarot that I have to cover up with my crystals. So bear with me. So with the Golden Tarot, what I want to know is today is August 4th. We really have, it's almost been exactly 2 months. We have no news. No news. Within the next month, are we going to get any news in August on this case? And again, I do recommend that you look up this case. You'll find a lot of information on Fox News. It's very odd to me that it's only really Fox News and those who copy Fox News. But you'll probably find the 911 call as well. And then you can make what you will from the 911 call. So over the next month, right, in August, what's going to happen with this case? We'll do, I guess 5 cards and any clarifiers if I need to. I gotta look at the cards first before I put them down, because they may have nudity. Does this have nudity? No. Okay. So we have the Wheel of Fortune reversed. We have the Fool reversed. We have Temperance reversed. These are all major arcana. We have the Two of Coins reversed. And we have the Six of Swords reversed. Wow. I did shuffle this a lot before we started recording. Let me just look. See, look, it's a mixture of, so the King of Swords is the underlying. So I'll leave this as my underlying thing. The King of Swords, somebody shrewd, male, probably. I mean, the stabbing, right? I mean, somebody is on the case. This could be either the perpetrator or it could be, say, for example, the police, the prosecutor, um, you know, doing what they need to do. That's the underlying um, energy I get behind this, is that the work is being done and it is being handled at a very high level, right? So some places it's kind of odd to say the prosecutor's office is involved, but in New Jersey, that's not odd. So some people were saying, why is it not just the police? Why is the prosecutor involved? Certain districts in New Jersey, that's not weird. Especially in a police force like Chester, they wouldn't be dealing with crimes like this very often at all, right? So to have the prosecutor involved is not weird. Wheel of Fortune, that's usually a bit of bad luck when it's reversed. I think that right now the investigation is just feeling they're getting a lot of bad luck. Like they're not able to get the information that they need. So that's unfortunate. And I wonder if that has to do with lawyers involved with the husband being out of the state, could be holding things up. I'm not saying that it is the husband, but just not being able to do their investigation as easily as they could kind of holds things up, right? The Fool reversed. The Fool is somebody who, kind of whimsical, kind of happy-go-lucky. When it's reversed, you're looking more at the Fool kind of choosing the wrong direction. Like they're being a bit too foolish. I think the cards are saying the investigation is not going well. They're not able to get the information they need. They may be going in the wrong direction because of that. Or they're kind of like grabbing at straws. They may even know that they feel like they're not going in the right direction because they feel a bit stuck. So Temperance reversed. Didn't we have Temperance reversed? No, we just had regular Temperance. Regular Temperance. What is the Temperance reversed? So that's rivalry, disharmony, and conflict, although it's transient. So there's conflict, there's disharmony. I think this has a lot to do with this bad luck, choosing the wrong direction. They're not able to get information. They are battling, right? Either it's within I mean, to me, I would say because the husband has a lawyer involved, that just makes things more difficult. Um, to get information. If there was rumors about other things about the husband having to go into get psychiatric help because of like a breakdown because of what happened to him, but those are just rumors. So I don't know. If the husband was unwell, if he was in the hospital, that's another reason why it would be hard to get in touch with him, right? See things through. Or it could be other people as well. The home that they live in is in a wooded area. A lot of homes, like in this part of New Jersey, very wooded area. Uh, there's no guarantee that people will have security cameras. They might, but just because your neighbor has a security camera, it doesn't even mean that it'll even pick up anything about your home. Say, for example, did the family have security cameras, but the information on those cameras is not being turned over? Possibly. A lot of people have Ring cameras, especially in New Jersey. Everybody's got them. So it's very odd to find a home that doesn't have some sort of camera. Whether you live in the woods, in the urban areas, in suburbia, it doesn't really matter. The Two of Coins, so that's the Two of Pentacles reversed. Usually that's talking about a balancing act. But when it's reversed, to me, that seems like the balancing act is not going well. Poor investment, debt, financial worry. So there's like there's a disharmony. Sometimes there's no diplomacy. I don't know, for example, if you would say that the police feel as though they don't have enough funding to do proper searching. Who knows? Maybe they don't. I don't know if this family was wealthy or not. Their home was a very average size, I would say. For the area of Chester, their home was not expensive. There are much, much, much richer homes in that area. So I don't feel as though this was a particularly wealthy family. They probably did perfectly fine, but they weren't like wealthy. So I think that the two of coins reversed is just like disharmony, right? There's something with this whole month just seems like no one can get anywhere. There's roadblocks on like every corner. And it's like, why are there so many roadblocks? This is bizarre. And then the Six of Swords reversed. Six of Swords is usually that kind of calm after that. That five, travel, running away from an intolerable situation. I think again that points to the fact that the husband is in a different state. Like I said, I'm not saying that it's the husband was involved. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, and remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. What I'm saying is that that just causes the investigation to stall in a way. Like maybe, like I said, the police are trying to do their best to gather information, maybe video, of the home or possible ring cameras that the home maybe had. They're probably talking to neighbors. The neighbors probably, there's a good chance that the neighbors wouldn't really even be able to give much info because um, they're just not close, right? This did happen at like, well, he made the call around 4:30 in the afternoon. He said that's when he got home from work, so it wasn't at night, right? It was, but I don't know exactly when it happened. Um, the four, well, that's actually interesting because we got the Four of Cups for when, right? Maybe it happened at 4 o'clock, and the husband gets home at 4:30, right? Make that what you will. The could it just happened? It seemed from the 911 call that from what the husband was saying, she hadn't passed yet. He was doing CPR. It seemed like she was maybe still had a pulse. But I don't know for sure. I can't get the full details from that 911 call, and they're not giving us any details. But maybe that when has to do with 4 p.m. Yeah, so I think that this month of August isn't going to give much. I still don't think we're going to get much information. I know that the police department or the prosecutor, I'm not sure which, they have $1,000 reward for information out. So to me, that's kind of a desperation, trying to get info. Yeah, so I don't think much is going to come out in August. How about September? I feel bad for the prosecutor's office and the police department because I feel like they are just hitting these roadblocks and like they just cannot get the information that they need. I don't know why that is happening. Maybe I should ask that. Yes, let's ask why. We'll do another similar spread. Why are there these roadblocks for the police department and the prosecutor's office? Why? The husband's former employer also had no comment, so there was no info coming from there. So this whole thing's a little bizarre. I feel bad for this poor lady. Hopefully her I mean, but they didn't mention the daughter, but it sounds like she's fine. I hope. Um, so why is the police department having all these issues? Why are there so many roadblocks for them? All right. We got temperance not reversed. Then we got the King of Swords again. We got the Eight of Swords, the Knight of Cups, and then the Three of Swords. Isn't that crazy? Now everything is the right way up. And the underlying energy is the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords is a thief. The Seven of Swords can't really be trusted. They're taking something that is not theirs. Swords, 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 swords. We got 4 swords. Very difficult situations. So temperance is again finding that balance after something has happened. So I think right now that's just saying that there's this difficulty. There's a difficulty getting information. There's a difficulty finding that balance on how best to get information. They seem to have to be juggling. It seems very bureaucratic. It seems very like there's too many people involved, or there's like if you have lots of lawyers involved, they are going to do what's best for their client, and they're going to understand how to deal with the police. So I think to have a lawyer involved very early on, it does take things a bit longer. The King of Swords is interesting, right? Because we had that as an underlying energy for our first reading. I feel in a way the King of Swords is it's interesting because kings are leaders. They could also just I think this has to do with maybe the lawyer of the husband or the husband in the way, right? Like there's this shrewdness about the king. He is intelligent. He knows what he should say and what he shouldn't say. Then we have the Eight of Swords. We have this person who feels blindfolded, and they feel as though they are stuck to these swords. They cannot move, but they can. They're actually not tied to the swords. They could make way if they need to, but they feel like they're stuck, like they can't see the way forward. And that could be the investigators. They feel like their hands are tied for some reason. We have the Knight of Cups, which is interesting. This is a slow moving knight. He doesn't want to spill what's in his cup. The cups are about intuition, better like social relationships. To me, this knight is saying, okay, news is being delivered, information is being delivered. There is talk between people, but it's slow. It's slow going. So any information the police are trying to get out of people or somebody, it's coming, but it's very slow, right? It's very bureaucratic. Everything is being done by the book, right? It's just very slow. And then you have that Three of Swords, and that's heartache. The Three of Swords is I mean, it's heartache. Let me make sure I'm not missing something with the swords. Three of Swords. But the fact that there's all these swords, it's just saying that this situation is so difficult. Somebody or somebodies are making this very slow, very difficult. Melancholy, misery, sorrow, grief at the end of an affair or friendship, but the pain will ease. I mean, it could just be saying that, the husband doesn't have anything to do with this, but he's having issues. Maybe mentally, he's having a lot of issues with what he experienced. And that's one of the reasons why the information is not coming in. Maybe the lawyer is having a very hard time dealing with the husband. Because I would not say who did this. I don't know, and I don't want to put that out there. I am going to give you possibilities of things the way I see from the cards. So, I mean, to me, in a way, this is saying that if the husband is not being what's cooperative, to me, it's more of a heartbreak thing for him. Like it's mental. It's like he literally cannot function, which would make sense to why the wife's parents have the child, right? I don't think he'd be able to take care of his child. It could be that this is just how he's feeling and he doesn't want to cooperate with anybody, or he's just, if especially if he didn't do it, he'd be very brokenhearted. Hmm. Okay. So September, let's look at September before we go. So when it comes to this case in September, what is going to happen? So, I mean, just to reiterate what I've found so far, I feel like this is a personal thing, that Brooke would know this person who did this, and that I don't feel as though the neighborhood, the town has to be worried about their safety. So I think that's good. But there seems to be just all this, I don't know if it's like red tape or people not communicating, or, just using the law to their fullest advantage to drag their feet and giving information to the police. Maybe there's infighting, like something is not going right, but I feel as though the police are trying. Like I don't feel like it's the police that are dragging their feet. I feel like they're getting these roadblocks and they are just not able to get information. And maybe they're going back to the prosecutor and the prosecutor is saying, well, I can't just like subpoena everybody, right? I can't bring everybody to the police station and say, you have to talk now, right? I mean, I highly doubt that this department has had to deal with crime like this. So, it's just for them, it's a new thing to have to deal with, new situation. So, September, what's going to happen in September with this case? We have the Wheel of Fortune again, but it's not reversed anymore. We have the Two of Swords, the Seven of Swords again, the Eight of Cups, and the Nine of Coins reversed. So the only reversal is the Nine of Coins. Underlying energy is the Four of Swords. Underlying energy is quietness. The Four of Swords is like minor arcana death card. Taking a chill pill. There's rest going on. Wheel of Fortune, not reversed is good. I would say that's a bit more of a good luck coming in September about being able to get the information that's needed. Again, there's the swords, Two of Swords and the Seven of Swords and the Four of Swords. It's still difficult. There's a choice that needs to be made. Neither choice seems to be particularly good, but it seems like someone has to make a choice about either coming clean or answering certain questions. Is a subpoena, or I don't know if that's the right word, subpoena, but are the police really going hard on getting information, and the person who has to answer to that information is like, this isn't gonna look good for me? Possibly. Seven of Swords, again, we have that thief, somebody who's still holding something that's not theirs. It's like they're holding secrets and they're holding information. There's still this withholding of information that they should share, but they are not. They're not sharing their information. We do get the Eight of Cups, which is somebody walking away from something that no longer serves them. So at some point, maybe there's a change in leadership when it comes to solving this case, or they're leaving behind an avenue that is not working. That is, this isn't, say they go hard on it's the husband, they change their mind, they leave that behind. Or maybe they go hard on it was one of her clients, they find that that's not working out, so they leave that behind. Like the Nine of Coins reversed. So the Nine of Coins, usually when I see the Nine of Coins, this is a woman who, to me, has a lot of has a fine bank account. But this is reversed. So this means other people's money, debt, or fraud. So I wonder if there is somehow an underlying fraud that was going on that somebody doesn't want to know, doesn't want out. Maybe the wife knew, or maybe she didn't know. Maybe Brooke knew about this fraud, and the person who harmed her doesn't want that information coming out. That could still be a client, could still be somebody she knows personally. Because like I said, it could be that it's not the husband and it's not a client. It could be somebody else personal that she knows. But there's still this Four of Swords energy. There's something there's progress being made, but it's slow. There's, especially for the public, I think it's going to feel very, very slow. I still don't think a lot of information is going to come out. I feel like this is more internal. This is still going to be internal. So that's what I get from the case so far. I think the important thing is that the public I believe the public is safe. I don't think they have to worry about some crazy person out there. I believe this was personal. Personal as to who was this person, I don't know. I'm not going to make any guesses. But yeah. So hopefully it will be resolved. It will be solved, but it seems like it's going to be an uphill battle for the police. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. If there's anything else you'd like me to read on, please leave a comment. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. I appreciate it a lot. And have a good day.